Live from Southern California, Mark Flores presents the pay-per-view podcast going over Roadblock 2016 and Monday Night Raw. Here is your host, Mark Flores. Thank you. I want to make sure that you guys are well educated on Roadblock 2016, on what was going on as far as the storyline, and then we're going to go into Raw review and analysis. The opening segment with Roadblock 2016 really kind of set the precedent for what you were going to see the whole time. It started off with the New Day showing up and starting their opening segment and debuting their new t-shirt, the Booty-O's t-shirt. I thought the opening segment was really funny. They did tie in some Drake songs to actually get the audience a little bit more intrigued. And you know what? The best thing about these guys is these guys are entertaining inside and outside of the ring, because if you can cut a good promo and then if you can work really well inside the ring, that takes you to another level. Sheamus and Wade Barrett show up, and they kind of get rid of the finger waving that Alberto Del Rio was going with for a little while, and now they're doing this little crowd wave kind of thing, and they call themselves the Lads. I don't know. I just think Wade Barrett's on his way out, and I think Sheamus is going to be stuck in the mid card, so I don't really think very highly of either of them. I think Sheamus did put in some work as a great heel. He needs to be by himself as a heel. He doesn't need to belong in any faction. Same thing that goes to Rusev and Del Rio. Rusev is only monstrous as a heel by himself, and Alberto Del Rio only works as a heel by himself. All three of them, besides Wade Barrett, who decides that he might leave in June. All of those guys, minus Wade Barrett, are really good talent. The match to me was an average match. All it did was only showcase the New Day to me, inside and outside of the ring. After this match, you kind of do realize that this network exclusive event is only going to be tying in storylines that just lead up to WrestleMania. You then realize that these matches are just simply live matches. These could all been non-title matches, except for the Triple H Dean Ambrose match and then the Brock Lesnar match. Triple H and Brock Lesnar pretty much only show up per appearance, so it's kind of rare to see them actually doing something besides cutting promos with their managers or cutting promos by themselves. The next thing that we had after the match, after the New Day ended up retaining the titles after a distraction from Xavier Woods, after that we saw Paul Heyman's promo. To hype up the match between Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper versus Brock Lesnar was total charisma. I mean, you see Paul Heyman, and the reason they usually keep Paul Heyman around is only for Brock Lesnar. There's always been reports that Paul Heyman has received tons of backstage heat as far as the McMahons go. But, you know, it pays off in dividends when you have Paul Heyman as anyone's manager. I mean, he has total charisma. It oozes from him. And when you have confidence like that, you can convince and control the crowd. And with that, you do have the ability to boost the stock of any superstar. It may not work sometimes. I remember when Paul Heyman tried to manage Cesaro, and that just didn't pan out. But that just brings me to the point is that we do need more managers in the WWE. I don't know if the Performance Center does train people to be managers. I'm not that well in tune with that, but I do know at the independent levels they do try to train people to become managers and actually cut promos to help out managers, to help out wrestlers. But yeah, we do need more managers on the front end of WWE. I think that's definitely a thing that they are certainly missing and that they are lacking from. Because if everyone takes a class from Paul Heyman's manager class, I mean, it's going to be instant success. He's just going to be shelling out people. It's going to be an institution after a couple of years, because this guy can show anyone how to be a manager, or what it does, what key things it takes to be a manager as well. Then after the Paul Heyman segment, we had Y2J Chris Jericho being a total heel in his hometown of I mean his home country of Canada. I do know that he's from Manitoba, so him being in Ontario, Canada was pretty amusing because he totally ripped on the hometown crowd. He took a shot on Bret Hart and Canada itself. So I thought that was pretty amusing. He actually was able to garner boos, and from what I've learned and from what I've seen over the past couple years, I've seen wrestling religiously. If you can get the crowd to boo, you're doing your job. Controlling the heat from the audience while you're a heel is garnering boos. It's making sure that this crowd hates your guts, because that's what happens. The heel gets enough heat for the face to come in, the baby face to come in and win the match. That's how you do it. But it's good ring psychology from Chris Jericho to control the crowd and to garner boos like that. But his promo that he cut before Jack Swagger came out really was funny, because he actually came to notice that, you know what, I've never been the flavor of the month. I've been a consistent stay here in the WWE. You guys will cheer for me just like how you cheer for Jack Swagger at one point. So he totally took a shot on Jack Swagger's brief hot run that he had back in the 2000s. As being a two-time world heavyweight champion. But it's been a long time since we've seen Jack Swagger on any televised event. So this is actually a good thing for Jack Swagger to actually get some airtime, especially on a network exclusive event. That's kind of like the second tier before a pay-per-view nowadays. You were able to tell during this match itself, Jack Swagger versus Y2J, that these guys don't really work often. Both times when Jack Swagger had the Patriot, tried to attempt to lock on the Patriot lock, his finisher, basically an ankle lock, he had to adjust up to the ankle of Chris Jericho. He didn't really have the ankle on the spot and then proceeded with the submission. He actually got his calf and then wrapped around to the part of Chris Jericho's ankle, and then you could see that Chris Jericho didn't sell to break up the ankle lock at all, but you can, those are the things that I was able to critique from this match. Overall, the match really just debuts Jericho. I mean, the moveset that Jack Swagger has, he's a powerhouse. A very limited powerhouse in my opinion too. It's just, he was doing nothing the whole night but just taking bumps from Chris Jericho. But overall, the good things to point out of this match, it's good to see Jack Swagger actually, getting some airtime. And it's good to see a heel Chris Jericho, because I think a heel Chris Jericho works better than a face Chris Jericho any day of the week. The next match that we had was Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy versus Dash and Dawson, also known as the Revival. Those are the champions of NXT. From the beginning, where Enzo and Cass actually have a promo in the beginning, you could see that it's only a matter of time before Enzo and Cass actually do make an impact in the WWE main roster. In my prediction, and this is the first you're going to hear from me, is that they're going to be holding WWE tag team titles before the end of the year. That's my prediction. I think they're going to go in this intense campaign against the New Day. And I think both of them side by side cutting promos, it's just going to be magic for the tag team division. I think it'll probably bring prestige back to it, and it'll probably bring a couple tag teams back from the dead. Because I know Los Matadores, I think they're going to go under a new identity real soon, and the Usos can always stay face. That's fine. They're really entertaining in the ring. They're always going to sell merch as baby faces, But as you could tell, Enzo and Cass really, I mean, Enzo Amore originally could have just been a manager and stayed like that, but he's actually doing stuff in the ring that now a guy for his size we can all appreciate. The Revival tag team, Dash and Dawson, these guys really remind you, and they want to implement, the announced team and the tag team themselves. They really want you to know that these guys are actually like old school, cut from a different cloth, cut from the older generation. These guys are like, these guys are just an old school tag team wrestling bunch. You got a bunch of mixed tags. You got the tag team that a good tag team to me is two people that can actually work cohesively. Multiple tags. I like seeing multiple tags going in and out. I like seeing the hot tag, but I also like seeing the tag teams mix it up a lot by entering in and out a lot. But this match, Dash and Dawson versus Enzo and Cass was receiving a lot of "this is awesome" chants, rightfully so. Both teams work well together. You could tell that they probably do work a lot of live events, either one-on-one or tag team matches at live events. And you really can't go wrong with Dash and Dawson's heel style. They're great, and they're great heel NXT champs. I couldn't stand them off the jump, but then I realized, every time you don't appreciate a wrestler, but you can appreciate the talent that they have, that just means they're just getting over on you as a heel. That's what it is. The crowd was fully invested. I think this match was an 8+ match. And it's good. It's good for the outcome that Enzo and Cass didn't win this match, because now what this is going to happen. This is the Finn Balor situation where Finn Balor might lose the title against Samoa Joe at NXT event in Dallas before WrestleMania. That way it frees up the NXT title for him to move up to the main roster. Same thing with Enzo and Cass and Dash and Dawson. This is going to give Enzo and Cass the ability to go up to the main roster without any title being held onto them. So that way they're free to do whatever they want, or be free to invest themselves into a feud where they're going to flourish. And I think the only feud to be involved in as of this time is going to be the New Day. I think both of those guys. I mean, both of those tag teams can cut promos for days, and it just depends on if we're gonna see either Enzo and Cass as a heel or a babyface to see who's gonna do a turn. Because I know for sure that the New Day are heels right now, but we'll see. It might be good to see Enzo and Cass as a heel tag team that still has the ability to go over with the crowd. But to the next thing, just to do a quick recap, Dash and Dawson, excellent heel NXT champs. I can't take anything from them. There's nothing bad to criticize about these guys. But with Enzo and Cass, you can really see that these guys they are spending way too much time in the minor leagues, or the NXT developmental. They deserve a shot to be in the main roster, and they do deserve it. I mean, they sell merch. I think Carmella, their manager, is a really good manager, and she can do well in the ring with herself too. I mean, she's learning, and it's crazy to see how she first started to where she is now. It's very, very great to see that. The next event that you had the hometown hero Natalya versus Charlotte. Natalya is Canadian born, so the crowd was really in her favor. And this was for the Divas Championship. A very technically sound match. Both of them are cut from legendary cloth. Charlotte, daughter of Ric Flair, Natalya was the last the last graduate of the Hard Dungeon, and the only graduate that happens to be a woman from the Hard Dungeon. So it's very good to see these two ladies actually bust out fantastic moves. It was really submission heavy. Compliments to Natty for actually doing the Mexican surfboard. That move is really hard to pull off, especially if you don't have the confidence within the person you're actually placing the move upon, because it's easy to slip out and it's easy to get really injured during those kind of moves. This was one of the first times I've seen Charlotte. Charlotte's figure 8 was reversed. It was really good to see that. It kind of shows, and it kind of built to the whole match that Charlotte was kind of losing her poise as a champion. That could be a good telltale sign for what she might do at WrestleMania and do a super heel tactic against whoever she's facing. But I do know, like I said, I do know that the fatal 3-way between her and Becky Lynch is going to be really, really impressive. But this is really all going to culminate at WrestleMania. Canada went nuts for the sharpshooter when Natty put it on Charlotte, and I'm glad to see that. Natalya ended up attributing the match to Bret Hart beforehand. As we all know, Bret Hart was either recovering or still battling this prostate cancer. There's been multiple reports that's been removed, and then there's reports to revert that it's still an ongoing thing to make sure that it's fully healed. So we're still rooting for Bret Hart to put prostate cancer in the sharpshooter. One thing to get out there in the open about this match is I'm just sick and tired of seeing Ric Flair get involved with this Charlotte stuff. It's every single time the title's on the line, Ric Flair somehow gets involved to get Charlotte the victory. I know that's a heel tactic, but this angle's getting really stale. It'd be really nice to see Ric Flair finally just like sit back a little bit. It's good to see him out every time he gets out there. I know the fans, every time they get a chance to see him, they do like it. But for him to keep getting involved in matches like this, really take the prestige out of Charlotte's reign, even despite the fact that she's heel and she does heel tactics. I mean, all these times that Ric Flair comes out there, it just kind of show you that he's going to be involved in some reason, especially how he gets so close to the ring. But nonetheless, this match, give this match a 8 out of 10. I mean, it was a really good match. Once again, the crowd was really invested for Natalya to win this, but Charlotte ended up getting the victory due to a Ric Flair interference. This is nothing short of what I expected. Just because Charlotte's going to be holding this title to WrestleMania to give it to one of the baby faces. More than likely, she might just end up giving it to Sasha Banks. That's what I'm seeing. That's what more than likely might happen. The next match that we had after that was Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar. This match started off with Bray Wyatt giving an excellent promo, just excellent promo. He had the crowd dead quiet for a little bit just to hear what he had to say. I mean, Bray Wyatt's promos as his character is just amazing. I mean, you have to be quiet to hear what he says because his stuff's really intriguing. His character, the only thing I can say is that his character nowadays, due to social media and due to kayfabe being broken, is that it just can't pan out as we want it to, because Bray Wyatt and his associates of the Wyatt family just aren't able to keep this amount of secrecy and stuff, just because we're in a day and age where running a cult isn't really secretive anymore. And to put promos out like that and to make people believe that they actually have a fan base with that is kind of really unbelievable. I know there's a lot of people that are fans of Bray Wyatt, me myself included, but the stable of the Wyatt family itself, it's kind of hard to fall in love with these guys just because you don't have Luke Harper going out there and doing stuff. You don't have Eric Rowan going out there and doing stuff, and then Braun Strowman. I mean, there is tons of reports about Braun Strowman actually having a big push towards or after WrestleMania, and I mean, I can't see this guy doing 6 minutes in a match by himself. It's really hard to see. I mean, he's really heavy on his feet. He needs to actually get involved in some speed drills on that, because he just doesn't move as much as I would like to see a big man like that. I mean, Luke Harper is pretty much the quickest and most agile big man that we have. I mean, this guy's a straight up athlete. Don't let the baggy pants and the ugly shirts fool you, because he can actually pull some good stuff off. Anyway, back to the match. This was pretty much a run-of-the-mill squash match. Luke Harper took all the bumps tonight because Bray Wyatt wasn't able to. A bunch of reports tell me that Bray Wyatt isn't able to take bumps just because he has a nagging back injury. Hopefully, this is going to heal up in time towards WrestleMania. Who knows what's going to happen with Bray Wyatt facing anybody at WrestleMania, because I know Dean Ambrose is booked up with Brock Lesnar, so we'll see what happens after Roadblock. But for Bray Wyatt to show up, there wasn't no need for him to show up. It kind of diminishes his character for him to cut a very good promo like that and do absolutely nothing. But the fact of the matter is, it would have sucked even more if he actually cut an epic promo like that, saying he's never been beat by Brock Lesnar, and then actually gets F5'd and gets the pin, doesn't get the victory, but he's defeated by Brock Lesnar. That would have definitely diminished his stock big time. I mean, he's at a point right now where he's at a recovery point with his character. I think he can definitely get over. They just need to put a more fearful impression onto the stable. They need to make the stable more fearful, like they did once a couple of years, like a year and a half ago to a year ago. But I do believe that they do have the potential to do that. It's just hard for me to believe right now that they're going to take all this momentum all the way to WrestleMania, because there's only a lack of it. They don't have enough momentum to even get there. Luke Harper, I give that guy props for actually, doing a great match for the limited time that he had. I mean, Brock Lesnar doesn't really do long matches. A live event match. A match with Brock Lesnar usually consists of about 6 suplexes and an F5, and then that's it. He's really a quick worker when it comes to that. But for Luke Harper to actually stay in there and take a bunch of suplexes, get a couple super kicks in there and a couple big boots is actually pretty nice to see, because it's good to see Luke Harper out there. I think Luke Harper is a great wrestler. Like I said earlier, I think he is the fastest. I mean, well, he's the most agile big man that we have working today. I mean, there's not a lot of people, that fit that category. Colin Cassidy is the only one that comes to mind from NXT that actually works very light on his feet. He actually looks good doing it. Luke Harper looks good doing it. I mean, there's not a lot of big men that could do big boots like him or even super kicks like him. It's really nice to see that. Really agile guy. At the end of the day, Luke Harper took the pin from Brock Lesnar. Just to reiterate, it was just a squash match, just to add a card to the match, card at Roadblock, which is going to take off to my next overall overview of this whole network exclusive. I keep calling it a pay-per-view, but it's a WWE Network exclusive. The next match we have after that was Sami Zayn versus Stardust. And then upon hearing Sami Zayn's entrance music for about the 30th time, I've been watching his NXT matches a lot here and there, but his theme song was always reminding me of something. And now I finally realize that his song sounds like a bunch of songs from Real Big Fish, the band that's most famous from the movie Basketball and most famous from the Tony Hawk Pro Skater. They have one song that debuts as track 1 on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater for the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation. I finally realized, and I was like, oh, that's what they sound like. That's what it sounds like. I just hope he changes his entrance music. I don't think that entrance music really bodes well with. I don't think it's a wrestling entrance myself, but that's just my 2 cents about that. It's funny to actually mention during this Sami Zayn versus Stardust match, Michael Cole actually mentioned Hulk Hogan during this whole sex tape trial fiasco. He might, I don't know if he's gonna get in any trouble with this, but it's funny for him to actually mention that, because that stadium in I think it was the Sky Dome in Toronto where they were at, is actually the same place where they actually had WrestleMania 18 and then WrestleMania 6 with Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. As we all know, that's one of the most iconic matches. Both of those are actually the most iconic matches in a long time. I mean, we all know that the Ultimate Warrior had the Intercontinental title at the time, and Hulk Hogan was very, very hard to actually get to have anyone go over on him. What I mean by that in a general sense, it's Hulk Hogan never liked losing. He always liked having to lose with shady endings. But with him losing Ultimate Warrior like that, the funny thing is that when Ultimate Warrior pinned Hulk Hogan, right after the 3 count, he immediately kicks out of it, acting like the Warrior Splash didn't really sell at all. I don't know. I think that was when I saw that the first time, I thought it was really shitty for him to do that. But then again, there's been times where he's wanted people. He wanted to go over on a bunch of people. I mean, you even look at the match he did with Shawn Michaels in 2005, where Shawn Michaels oversold because he knew that Hulk Hogan was going to go over on him. The rumor has it that Hulk Hogan knew that he was going to go over on Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 2005, but the payoff was that Shawn Michaels was going to get a victory over him, but Hulk Hogan actually was said that he had a nagging knee injury and he wasn't able to do it. Total coward move in my opinion, but that never takes away from what I think about Hulk Hogan after that. I mean we all know that he's an icon beyond backstage. If the whole front, as a fan, you can definitely appreciate what Hulk Hogan did for the company, and did for wrestling in general as an overall perspective. But anyway, I was going on a tangent, but let's go back. The Toronto Sky Dome, famous for WrestleMania 6 and WrestleMania 18, Rock Hogan and Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior. This match to me, Sami Zayn versus Stardust, very sloppy moves. These guys really didn't call the match really well together. I didn't think so, in my opinion. The only big spot that I saw was a really good superplex. Comedic antics from Stardust as a heel. It was good to see him do glove slaps with his gloves. I was wondering, I haven't seen him do that at all. So I just kind of thought that was pretty funny. But Sami Zayn didn't do any crazy spots. I think that might end Sami Zayn's career prematurely because he does take a bunch of bumps. He does take a lot, especially with all his. He has a very dense moveset, and with his moveset, he does take a lot of bad bumps. But anyway, that's neither here nor there because Sami Zayn actually took the W. He went over on Stardust. This kind of builds some stuff up for Sami Zayn. Hopefully it actually takes him way over because I know that Sami Zayn's gonna face Shinsuke Nakamura over at the NXT event in Dallas before WrestleMania, and then he might. I think he will fight Kevin Owens. It's gonna be the Kevin Owens tournament for the Intercontinental title, just like last year. I don't know if it's gonna be a ladder match, but it's gonna be. Sami Zayn will be involved, and he might be one of the final few left available to fight Kevin Owens for a shot at the title. After that match, leads us up to the main event. Dean Ambrose versus Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. Triple H holding the WWE Championship. Actually, at the end of the day, this is the couple points I wanted to make before I actually go into the analytics of the match. Triple H actually was able, Triple H and Dean Ambrose, this feud was so believable. I mean, that's one thing I compliment on these two guys, is these guys were able to build up a feud at Roadblock to make it seem that Dean Ambrose was actually going to change the face of WrestleMania. I mean, change the main event, change the whole dynamic. If for WWE to even hint at that goes to show that they actually have faith within this guy to actually go forward with an illustrious career. This is the second time during this match there was a false 3 count, and we thought Dean Ambrose won it. But this guy has been on the receiving end of this false 3 count for I think one time at the Survivor Series against Seth Rollins. And it just sucks to see that because this guy is an ultimate babyface. I mean, we went nuts. The Toronto crowd went nuts to see this, and it was just crazy because you thought he won it, but in all actuality, he didn't. It was really believable to think that Dean Ambrose was actually going to steal it before WrestleMania. Well, a couple things to note too. To think that the WWE was going to sell the idea that we might actually see a title change at a WWE Network exclusive event is really good. I actually like that. Usually back in the day, like during WCW and WWF, when they actually had a title match like that, you were always going to believe that the guy that was going to face the champion before a pay-per-view leading up in a couple weeks wasn't going to win it. But with this match at Roadblock, you kind of had an inkling chance. You actually had a lot of believability that this guy was actually going to win the title. Kudos to WWE on that. I rarely give WWE kudos nowadays. Triple H was looking good at 46. I mean, I don't know what kind of training regimen he did, but he actually looked pretty jacked for this event, so that's good. I mean, for 46, who knows what kind of supplements he's taking, but wow, the homeboy was ripped. He's been powerlifting his whole life, so that's what it is. It was funny to note that Triple H actually used Chris Benoit's crossface during the match in Canada. I think it was kind of a spit in the face to the crowd. It was a good heel tactic, I think. I don't know if it was. I don't know if Triple H kind of knew that he was in Canada to use the crippler crossface, but it was funny to note from that. I don't know if Dean Ambrose had to ask permission to use the sharpshooter. I kind of think that you have to. You have to ask someone from the Hart family to use the move. That's how old school wrestlers do it. I mean, you don't use, if you're coming into the business, say if you worked at WCW and then you come into WWF and your signature move is that of the Undertaker's, you're going to have to change your signature move. That's all there is to it. I mean, but if you have this secondary submission or the secondary move that you like to use that someone else likes to use, you have to ask the permission of, the originator, or you have to ask the permission of someone that is, around that family line. It only makes the most sense. But at the end of the day, Triple H wins the title. I mean, retains. But I mean, there was a bunch of good spots. I mean, there's one where Dean Ambrose does a suicide dive and then pelvic thrusts the DX sign after to mock Triple H for his Degeneration X days. There was another spot where Dean Ambrose missed the elbow drop on the announce table because Triple H rolled over and actually took a big bump and breaking the announce table. That is good to see. I mean, we all do know that these announce tables don't break that easily. I mean, it's not that difficult to break these announce tables, but it's good to see, those things, especially during a pay-per-view. I think the announce table at least gets broken at least one pay-per-view. It's always good to see that. I like seeing it. It helps out the wrestlers from absorbing a bad bump on the outside. Those outside moves aren't really padded. I mean, those outside pads aren't really padded that well. But anyway, on to Monday Night Raw. The only things I want to touch on was there was a ton of rumors swirling around that Kurt Angle was actually going to show up. As you know, Monday Night Raw was held in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the hometown of Kurt Angle. So it was good to see. It was good to see those rumors swirling around. Beforehand, at the Arnold Classic, Triple H met up with Kurt Angle. Who knows what they talked about, but it's good to see that whole thing get squashed out because, as you all know, as I discussed earlier, is that there was rumors saying that when Kurt Angle met up with Triple H, they just had negotiations that didn't go through. So it's good to see these guys actually either bury the hatchet or just talk it out or whatever. But it's actually was confirmed that Kurt Angle met up with Triple H at the Arnold Classic, and it's good to see those rumors swirling around. Roman Reigns showed up on TV after about 3 or 4 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks. I think, but after that actual real nose injury he had to get surgery for, it's actually good to see him back. But as it's just the same thing. I mean, after the match with Dolph Ziggler, Triple H comes. Roman Reigns shoots in on Triple H. And starts doing the same thing that Triple H did to him a couple weeks ago, and starts pounding his nose on the announce table and stuff. Earlier in that day too, Roman Reigns slams Triple H with a flat screen TV, which is actually fun to see. Triple H was cut from that one time, but I didn't see if he was cut from the announce table. I only saw a little bit of it at the end, but for this to build up to WrestleMania, you're going to garner a lot of boos from Roman Reigns. It's just going to be it's just going to be a big reverse. Either you're going to see a heel turn from Roman Reigns at WrestleMania just to see what happens. You might as well experiment at this point because obviously babyface Roman Reigns isn't working. I think the only way to make Roman Reigns work now is just to do repackaging, either repackaging with new attire, new entrance. I'm sick and tired of seeing him going down the entrance like he was still part of the Shield. I need to see this guy. I need to see this guy in a different light. And if that's as a heel, then maybe I can appreciate that. Maybe that's something I'll be able to absorb and to cope with versus seeing him trying to be a babyface and trying to pull off lame-ass promos. Because his promos, I mean, geez, we all know that this guy can't do it. I mean, he's even tried acting classes. I've read several reports that this guy's actually tried to do theater and acting classes to improve his promos. If that's not saving him, I mean, he all he has to do is ask the best around. I mean, he has to ask Nature Boy or somebody, ask Paul Heyman, ask anybody. Sheesh, ask anybody that's good with a promo, just to get better at that. One thing to note, I mean, there's not much to note about it. I mean, Shane McMahon and The Undertaker and Vince McMahon had a segment where Vince McMahon pushes Shane McMahon into a chokeslam from The Undertaker. And then you had Stephanie McMahon and Triple H have a promo together, but it was really nothing to comment on after that. I mean, this isn't. We're all gonna wait till the build up to actual WrestleMania. But it was actually good to see Dolph Ziggler actually kind of have a chance at the title. It was random, and he was never in a position these last couple weeks to actually get a title shot, but they keep throwing title shots left and right, so you might as well. I think after this WrestleMania, you can have Dolph Ziggler take a long time break for him to show up at the Royal Rumble or something, because as of right now, he works a lot of days. He's actually worked the most days out of any active wrestler behind Sheamus this whole time. He's worked over 300 events in the last I think year and a half. With 365 days on the calendar and with about a year and a half under, I mean, that's a lot of days. That's very few days off, but at least he's getting paid for it. They will acknowledge that. You do get paid for the dates here and there. You do get paid for the years, and if you're a higher tier wrestler, you get paid for appearances and dates to show up. So, that's all I had tonight. I wanted to thank you guys for tuning into this live event, however many there are for you guys tuning in. But I want to let you guys know that this paper review is brought to you by Game Swappers. Game Swappers, buy, sell, and trade your retro games and current gen consoles, Xbox One and PlayStation 4. You can come in contact with Game Swappers on Instagram at GAMESWAPPERS. That's GAMESWAPPERS. Game Swappers, buy, sell, and trade your retro games and current gen consoles. Alright guys, well that's all I had tonight. I wanted to just give you guys a quick recap of my 2 cents on Roadblock. If you guys have any questions about it, please be sure to let me know via DM. I'm always down to have a conversation about the event, or even do it in the comment box wherever I mention a paper review podcast announcement. Just put it in the message thread, and we'll be able to put our 2 cents together and see what we can come up with as far as WrestleMania updates or WrestleMania rumors. Anyway, you guys have a good night. Thank you.